In the lesson about control, if you felt a little uncomfortable when I talked about communicating your needs, you might notice that you struggle with boundary setting in your day to day life. And why are we talking about boundaries in communication in a program focused around personal health habits? And that's because healthy, clear boundaries are the special sauce that helps consistency work so much better. What is a boundary? In the context of this program, a boundary is defined as a limit of what is an acceptable behavior. I'll give you an example. A common boundary that's established between monogamous partners is that cheating is unacceptable, and when that boundary is crossed, there are consequences. However, boundaries don't need to be huge. A great boundary can be so simple as setting an expectation for when you'll log into your work computer in the morning, or setting up an out of office email when you're out of town. Boundaries are necessary, but that does not mean that setting them is going to be easy. In fact, communicating and upholding your boundaries might be one of the most uncomfortable parts of this whole process, especially if you're someone that tends to be a people pleaser or is worried of what others think of you. That's because from a young age, we've been taught that other people's feelings are more important than our own. We've been taught to tiptoe around confrontation and difficult conversations for the fear that we might make someone else uncomfortable. Understanding your core values is crucial to being able to identify what boundaries are necessary to you. Couple this with your instincts, and you'll be able to identify when you need to set a boundary. Think back to a conversation or event that maybe made you feel uncomfortable. Was there a lack of a boundary there? Here's an example. You received a call from your boss late at night demanding that you look at an email. You do it, but you end up staying up later than usual, which results in a really crappy night's sleep. Here's another one. A friend invites you out and they pressure you to order a beer, even though you say you don't feel like drinking. In both of these situations, there was a lack of communication, and if this is a common occurrence, you might need to set a boundary. This can be resolved by setting a very clear boundary. For example, you might have a conversation with your boss and remind them politely yet firmly of your working hours, or simply state to them, after X time, I will be spending time with family and am no longer available. With a friend, you could tell them the next time you hang out, I'm not drinking tonight and I would really appreciate it if you respect that. Simple and to the point. I know these situations might feel uncomfortable if you've never practiced boundary setting before. So before you jump in and start setting boundaries all over the place with other people, get clear on what boundaries are most important to you and how you'll communicate and uphold them. Don't be surprised if you set a boundary and the other person just kind of forgets about it. Part of boundary setting is also being able to uphold that boundary over time. You may have to remind your boss of your availability a few times, and you may have to remind your friend that you're not drinking. Be patient, but also be persistent. And remember, boundaries teach other people how to treat us. Your homework for this lesson is to listen to the Be Well Cartel episode on boundaries and to work through the worksheet below to identify 3 boundaries you'll set, who you'll set them with, and how you will uphold them.